All right, last discrete math lesson of the year, 5.2 arithmetic series. So, suppose you were asked to add up every number from 1 to 100 without a calculator. It'd take a long time, right? 100 digits, they're all increasing, you got to add them all up. It would be a very slow process to do that without a calculator. Is there a shortcut? And the answer is yes, there is a shortcut. If you look for a pattern, and most people look for a pattern from left to right sequentially, and yeah, there's a pattern. It's going up one every time. But there's another pattern if you look at these numbers in terms of first and last. If you look at first and last, they sum to 101, right? 1 plus 100 is 101. Then second to second last, another 101. Then third to third last, from last, another 101. See the pattern? Another 101. So you're going to have sums of 101 50 times because there's 100 numbers. 1 to 100 is 100 numbers, and you're summing in pairs. So there's 50 pairs, right? 50 pairs summing to 101. So the sum is just going to equal 50 times 101, which comes out to 50. That's the sum. Much quicker than sitting there and adding them up one by one, right? Well, that is actually the formula that we're going to learn in this lesson that we just did. The formula is right here. Capital S of n. So see this capital SN? That just means sum. Sum of n numbers Sum of n numbers is equal to n, whatever the number of numbers is. So in our last example, it was 100. So n was 100. So I'm just going to write this out. So sum of 100 numbers equals 100 over 2, which 100 divided by 2 tells us the number of pairs there are. That's what this thing represents. It's the number of pairs. Times the first number plus the last number. And that's what we did. We added the first and the last. A1 plus AN. So in our example above, it was the first number was 1, the last number was 100. And that gives us the sum of each pair. See, that's what this formula is. This is the number of pairs right here. This is the sum of each pair. Multiply them together, you get the total sum. That's it. That's the whole lesson. That's the whole formula. So example, find the sum of the first 20 numbers. That's what this means, S20. Find the sum of the first 20 numbers if the first number is 16 and the last number is 104. So the sum equals, so if you have 20 numbers, how many pairs is that? Well, it's 20 divided by 2, which is 10, times the first number, 16, plus the last number, 104. So this equals 10 times 120, which is 1,200. Okay? That's pretty much it. Now, the only thing is that sometimes it won't ask you to find the sum. Sometimes it'll give you the sum. So you guys could try these on your own, by the way. Sometimes it'll give you the sum and ask you to solve for something else. So like, let's look for a good one here. Yeah, like look at this one. It gives you A12, it gives you D, and it gives you S12. It doesn't ever tell you A1 though. Remember, we need A1 for this formula. See that formula right there? You need A1. We don't have A1. So there was another formula that we need to use, the formula from lesson 5.1. Remember that formula? That had D, right? And A1 and N. So we need to get A1 first. Solve for A1 first using the other formula. So AN is essentially this, A12. So A12 is 30 equals, we don't know A1, plus N minus 1. So N here, remember, N is always that little number right there, that little subscript. So N is 12, and they tell us D is negative 7. So 30 equals A1 plus 11 times negative 7. So 30 equals A1 minus 77. So we're going to add 77. We're just solving for A1 here. So A1 equals 107. So A1 equals 107. Now we could use that in our S formula. So if we want S12, that's what this is asking us to solve for. It's 12 over 2 times A1, which we just solved for was 107, plus AN, which we know is 30. So it's going to equal 6 times 137, which is going to be a big number.
Can you play with me now?
Yes, 1 second. 6 times 137 is 822. So sometimes you have to use both formulas that we learned. You have to use the formula from lesson 5.1 and the formula from this lesson 5.2 in conjunction to solve. And I'll see you in the next video.